Hey there, Hunters. Back again today with an update on the Corrosive shot Carino. So, if you didn't see the first video, the sort of core concept behind this character was to take full advantage of the special event buff that we have, trigger the main skill for every 3 meters moved. So, as Carino, we use Corrosive shot, and the way Corrosive shot works is it shoots um, basically like a dot on the ground, and that does erosion damage over time. And it stacks infinitely, and it just depends on how much duration you have. So, with the way the event works, I just run around, and it shoots all these poison balls behind me. So that works really well with Carino because of the way that your ammo reload system works. You're just constantly moving, constantly shooting, constantly reloading, and you're always getting the full benefit. And then Blade Shot, this one, is nice because you get movement speed and additional damage at the max value pretty much all the time. It's pretty great. Let's see. So, Landslide is maybe not the best. We'll use Crushing Gale for this demo. I'm not really scaling a lot of attack speed actually because I basically do all my damage through moving, which is why I was using this. But, let's stick with this one. All right, let's see. Where was it? Let's do a quick dummy test. Yeah, so once my big reaps start going off, you see you jump up to around, 170-ish million, averaging, 110, 120, right around there. It's not amazing, but for a dot build with maybe 300 FE invested, that's pretty good. So let's see. The main tech for scaling this is movement speed, although I think it may even still be bugged. Who knows? CDR for additional proc, and then just scaling our utility skills, and then the stacking damage, which is just kind of how Corrosive Shot works, and it just synergizes really well with the mechanic. So we probably won't be able to play a build like this in the future, maybe with the box or something, but I've never played with that, so I don't even really know how it works. But yeah, so in terms of damage, Caustic Terra stacks infinitely up to a certain duration, and I was doing some testing, and I'm not necessarily sure if scaling duration is worth over just maxing out the straight up damage. So something that's cool is you get the full benefit of hunting tempo because you gain a buff while moving over a certain period of time. And normally this is a downside because you have to stop and shoot, but because of the special buff we have, I'm always running and always shooting, so you're always getting the full benefit of this. Massive scaler. Passivization, since we're just doing pure wilt damage or pure erosion damage rather with no wilt, this is really strong. It makes it do more damage to enemies with higher health. Erosion pen, of course. Ground divide, of course. This is nice for the extra terror charge and then just generic damage. Wind projectile, just of course generic damage and all of that. We're using entangled pain for the generic damage taken, and then erosion enhancement and deep pain for main. Mind control is great because it gives you phasing, so movements is not restricted, so you can just run straight through enemies. And then I also use guard to give me barrier, which is nice. There's an extra layer of EHP. And then cataclysm to just stack affliction faster, and then these two just for generic raw damage. For start, for a little bit of defensive utility, and blurry steps for movement speed, of course. My candles are pretty terrible. It's just basically movement speed, res, CDR, that sort of thing. I kind of hate doing the city mechanic. It's just clunky and it slows things down, so I got these and I just stopped doing it. Let's see. Let's take a look at the passives. The passives are still the same. I'm using Deception, Psychic, and Warlock. Psychic for Giga Affliction, and then Reap Purification. Warlock just for the insane CDR, and then a utility from this. Going for just generic stuff, max mana, skill effect duration, damage. This is actually one of the core parts of my defense. So energy shield cannot be interrupted for damage or by damage for 1 second after it starts. So combined with this chest, whenever I reap, my ES recharge begins. And then because of these gloves, I'm basically reaping every half second. So my ES recharge is constantly starting, and it's basically never going to be able to be interrupted. And then, yeah, Chain Behind the Curtain just gives me some good ES scaling, erosion resistance, and then permanent blur from movement, and then the additional affliction per second. My weapon is really not very good. Basically, only the prefixes do anything for the build. But yeah, something like this. You know, if I got this to +6, that'd probably push me to closer to 300 million. But you know, this is a pretty short event, and we're still having fun. I think you could probably swap this out for more damage and utility, but I like how Explode feels while mapping. It's just hard to beat. Then let's see. Oh yeah, for my slates, I'm using Chili, which is interesting because the additional spell damage works with Mind Flay, but the big thing is enemies can't regen life. So aside from resistance, life regeneration is basically the only way enemies can counter your damage over time. So like if you deal 1,000 damage per second and the enemy has 500 life regen, and assuming 0 resistance, you're basically effectively doing 500 dot damage. But with this, you completely negate the regeneration, so you're doing that pure, or not pure, but you're doing whatever after resistance damage straight to their life. And then I was lucky and I got this one with Subtle Impact, so it adds another effect to my blur, and then this is scaled by blur effect as well. Then for the rest of these, I was just going for skill levels, that sort of thing. This gives me agility blessings. And this is just kind of generic utility. Energy charges, very comfortable. Makes it for your quality of life blinking around. Let's see. I guess we can just run a quick map, show you guys what it looks like now. Okay, I guess we're only at time work 7 here, but we'll do this. So as you see, just run through the map, everything dies. Makes my pet slow to pick up loot for whatever reason. Here's a boss. There's almost 100% uptime on my blurry steps as well. And I really like Speed Phantom because you can kind of just like drag enemies with you. And then with the nature of kind of how Corrosive Shot damage works, the more you stack up enemies, the faster they die, that sort of thing. Oop, boss is up here. Yeah, you can just see how fast my affliction was stacking up there. So every half second reaps are going off. Is that any good? Anybody even playing Moto? Alright. Well, let's see. Talked about the damage, stacking mechanics, reap sources. Yeah, there's, I mean, some merit to maybe going for not using these gloves and just taking full advantage of the extra affliction damage being at 100 because it would just ramp so quickly. But I don't know, I kind of like the synergy between these two items. and just like so just like consistent smaller reaps as opposed to huge big chunk reaps. I don't know. I guess it depends on how you like it. But yeah, really fun event. Thanks XD for doing something like this. It was a really fun way to spice up the game. Let us play some cool stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you thought this was a cool build, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, that sort of thing. And I'll see everyone next season.